am passionate about helping them reduce that decision-making fatigue and become strong and confident business owners. And here's the key: operating with the Lord at the core of their business.
Yes. Welcome to the Branches in Business Show. Our mission is to encourage Christian business owners with inspirational and motivational stories and to equip them with simple online marketing strategies so they can take action toward reaching more people with the message and the solutions God has given them to share. If discouragement and overwhelm have been holding you back from sharing what you've been given online, that stops here, my friend. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and join us inside the Branches in Business Facebook group for networking opportunities, accountability, and special workshops. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Branches in Business video podcast. Today we have with us Miss Gayle Chaky. Am I saying that right, Gayle?
Perfect, you got
it. Good. Gayle, I'm so excited to have you here with us, and I've loved getting to know you through Christian Women Business Builders, through the Grow community. It has just been a blessing to be in friendship with you for these last, I guess it's been probably 2 years now, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. It's been amazing, and we're spending more time together now, which is even great. God is bringing us together in all sorts of ways we didn't expect or could have planned, right?
That's so true, and it's funny because every time I turn around and have a conversation with you, we've had these meetings on the calendar for all of October. We had like 3 or 4 meetings on the calendar. And every time I had a conversation with you, it was like a new revelation or something that I needed to hear was exactly what we talked about. And it has been such a blessing to get to have those conversations.
I think God has his women on the move. That's all I'll say. And men too, but we've been in a lot of women's groups together. Yeah, he's connecting us for a purpose and a reason, for sure.
I agree. Well, I'm just gonna get right into it, and we're just gonna dive in. So tell us about your business, tell us what you do, and how your offers serve the marketplace.
Sure. Well, I am a transformational business mentor, a speaker, a host of The God is my CEO podcast, and founder of the Impact Makers Journey Mastermind series. So really what I do, though, is I love to work with women business owners. I am passionate about helping them reduce that decision-making fatigue and become strong and confident business owners. And here's the key: operating with the Lord at the core of their business.
Yes. And you're so good at that too. Like your podcast, you do that through your podcast. You do that through your Facebook group. You do that in your products and your offers. And just as someone who has been in your sphere for a while, I can say what a good job you do at that.
Thank you. Well, it's kind of been a little interesting story how I started this business. So believe it or not, so I was an accounting professor for many years. And the Lord actually called me out of that rigid academic environment. A lot of rules, a lot of things I had to follow, and into this whole exciting journey of entrepreneurship. Originally, I started working with high school students. And I had an MBA, a CPA, all that stuff, right? So I had all the paperwork about what it's like to be a business owner, always wanted to do it. And I discovered that being an entrepreneur was much, much, much more difficult than I had ever anticipated. Every day there were multiple decisions. And, I had to keep trying not to decide, do I want this shiny object? Do I want to do that? The world, there was so much going on, and I was very busy. And it was strange, though, because I felt something was missing. And in fact, I knew something was missing. I prayed for my clients. I was in prayer ministry at church, right? So I thought I had brought God into my business in that aspect. But I went on this search for the missing, and I had some wonderful mentors, some of which we share. And I found myself on a new mission after a lot of research, after classes, after chatting, after a lot of prayer. And I realized, number one, I had to give up ownership to the Lord as CEO. That was huge. And then after that, I realized well, actually, I thought about this. Like, okay, so what do I do left? Like, what's next? He's CEO. I thought I was CEO, so he should really be CEO. And then I learned through the Lord again that I needed to focus on excellent stewardship of the resources he had gifted to me. And then thirdly, there was something called kingdom multiplication. And I'm like, what does that mean? And I learned the importance and the use and the goodness of spreading his word and doing business his way to others. So I learned this. I thought, okay, this is good. He's putting me on the right track. And then, like, he has a way of doing things. And then it was made very clear to me that I was to share this with others. Yes, it's nice that he shared it with me and that I figured this out through a long process. But like, he kind of wanted me to take my teaching background, my entrepreneurship, mix it all up together and share it. So that really was my inspiration. It was from the Lord, but through mentors, through books, and through research, and just confirmation and understanding and discernment on how you should really run a business for him.
Yes, and you have seen that kingdom multiplication at play recently through that podcast. Tell us a little bit about how that's been going, because I love hearing stories about how God multiplies our marketing efforts. You know, we can follow every content marketing tip and strategy in the book, but there's nothing we can do that can match how he can take it and run with it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I spent about 6 months coaching and really making sure that I had exactly the program I wanted for my clients, and podcasting kept on coming up from various sources. I mean, people I didn't even know that well would be like, you've got to get out there. People have to hear your word. So I did. I looked into it. I found a lovely person to do, the editing for me. And I just prayed about it. And I have to tell you, I pray every week about what my next episode will be. Now I'm blessed in, I'm able to interview people such as yourself twice a month. And then I do my own podcast, twice a month. And, it's just been kind of amazing because it's all about biblical wisdom and taking biblical stories or a parable and going through that, making sure that the important points of it are brought out. And what does that mean to us as a business person? I mean, the Bible is such a source of wisdom. It's all there for us. And yes, of course, we need marketing and we need SEO and we need those smarts, right? But so that's what I did. And again, I would pray. Beginning of every week, I pray because, you're like a week ahead about, okay, really, what do you want me to, tell people about? And I love spending time in the Bible. I put the podcast out there. And yeah, it's just been, 10, 12 episodes. And it's driving traffic to my website like I've never had before. I see people posting on their Facebook, you should listen to this podcast. I'm overwhelmed and humbled and excited all at once.
That's wonderful. And I can say I just love your podcast because you bring out those biblical truths in a way that makes it so clear and so easy to digest as a business owner. When we can read a story and kind of get an application for different parts of our life, but you are so good at bringing out those applications for business.
And I think I was trained for 15 plus years when I taught accounting, because how people hate accounting, and I would teach it in the classroom, right? It wasn't a podcast. But I had to bring it to life, and I had to bring it interesting for those students because most of them weren't accounting majors. They were just required to take it. And I think the Lord was just training me for this time when he was going to open up and put the Bible in front of me and say, okay, go for it. You're going to get into that. You're going to take those skills and make it understandable to people. Take my word and take it to those ladies and men that need that information. And I really like doing it. It's a long process, but I love doing it every week.
And it's joyful. It's from a place of overflow. And you can tell that when you listen.
Thank you. That's good. That's good. I like it.
Today's show is made possible by the Get Found online course inside the Grow community. In this 8-week self-paced course, you'll develop a roadmap to getting your business in front of the people who need you most. Utilizing simple and effective content marketing strategy, I'll help you simplify your approach to posting online and get out of the social media rat race by creating a sustainable, simple content marketing approach unique to you that will help you connect to customers for years to come. Plus, when you join the Get Found online course through my link, you also get access to the entire Grow community and all the incredible resources inside. The Grow community is a business coaching platform created by my friend and mentor, Cassie Kitzmiller. The world tells us that we have to hustle long and hard, manifest success, and follow the internet guru's 3-step plan to those 6- and 7-figure dream days. I was a little sick of hearing all that junk too. And that's why I was so glad when I found Cassie and the community she created inside Grow. It's a different kind of business coaching focused on growing your business from the peace of the Lord and the heart of a good father, complete with the practical tools, templates, and resources that you need to get your business up and running to those 4-figure months and beyond. If you'd like to learn more about the Get Found online course inside the Grow community so that you can market your business effectively online and grow your business from the peace of the Lord, head to the link in the description below. I can't wait to see you there. All right, so you kind of shared a little bit about this already, but how have you specifically seen God's hand at work through your life and business since you've started your business?
Yeah, I did share some of that. You know, it's been an interesting ride. I think that sometimes the Lord uses other people to encourage you. So I'm just going to throw something out there. I'm married, right? And my husband is not an entrepreneur, and he doesn't really understand entrepreneurial things. And so when I was working with the Savvy Scholar, my first business, and I was working with students, I had read the book, The Prayer Powered Entrepreneur, and I adored it. That's by Kim Avery. And I heard that Kim Avery had this new mastermind program, and she wanted to certify people. And over here, I'm still in academia, right? Working with students. And the reason why I brought my husband into it was I said, she's doing this. It sounds really interesting, but it has nothing to do with what, I'm doing. And he said to me, so do it. You love her book. So what? And I really believe, because that was the catalyst, I really believe the Lord used my husband to get me into this. And I fell in love with it. And if it hadn't been for him, I have a very practical mind. I've gotten less, and I probably would have been like, okay, this doesn't really totally match with what I'm doing now. And this is something we all have to be aware of, because when God has something for you to do, he has something for you to do. So I went through it. I got certified. I ran my first prayer powered mastermind. And at the end, the ladies looked at me and they said, so what's next? What's next? Anything next? I'm like, okay, give me a couple months. Let me think about it. And, and the business became birthed that way. And the Lord made it very clear to me. So I just think that you have to be really open. And I had this blind sight on what I was doing with my first business, and that's what my background had been, students and teaching and getting them into college and helping them. And the Lord had such a bigger picture of how he was going to weave things. And I just think that he uses different people to push you forward and encourage you. It's not always, sometimes it is. I've woken up in the morning with all these great thoughts about something, but a lot of times he uses those close to you.
Mm-hmm. I was reading this weekend. I can't think of the specific verse, but it talks about the wise counsel and good plans. Plans succeed because of a multitude of wise counsel. Is that it? You'll have to help me on that verse. I'll go back and look that one up. Nobody, please take this as a quote. Oh, because I remember it was talking about wise counsel, but you saying that made me think of that, and that's so true. Like they don't have to be specific business mentors. God can speak to us through anyone, our husbands, our children. I get spoken to through my children a lot.
I've been here, so my husband's the only one in the house, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh goodness, that's good. So you kind of talked about some practical and spiritual challenges that you faced in getting started with your business and overcoming kind of the thought of what it would be. Just tell us a little bit more about those challenges that you faced in getting started, because I know a lot of us get discouraged and we feel like we can't share our message and share what God's laid on our heart because we're going through some type of challenge. We feel like we're not the one to talk about it. Hearing about those challenges always helps me. So I'll open it up and let you share about that.
Yes. So this is a personal one, but something not unheard of before. So I had put together a program as this now was becoming my business. I was letting go of my students, and I had been working and had solidly been hearing from the Lord, pillars of the term impact, and all this. I have that on YouTube that is meaningful. And I ran into, it's a year ago, and I ran into a medical problem. And I had my dates on the calendar, and I literally, the date, and I had to cancel and stop everything. And the date literally that I had to start my first mastermind, I was going in for surgery. And there could not have been more of a difference. And, I'm fine and everything, but it was something, required recuperation. But because of the nature of how everything happened, it gave me some time to work part-time and to think deeper, right? This was not what I was planning. I was planning to go full steam ahead. I had everything set, right?
Yes.
So I thought about it for a month or two, and then that was when I hired a coach because the Lord made it clear to me. And, without going into all the details, and that was 6 months, and really, really, she really challenged me. And it's so much better now is I guess the answer. It's so much better. He took something that looked like a total disaster, that broke my heart, that made me question at the time what, and especially I was doing something spiritual that had come from him, and it came to a screeching halt for a while, and it was very difficult. That's a hard thing, and that's why I'm sharing it, because if anyone out there has been through, or goes through something like this, there's a purpose, because the program and what I did and how I came out stronger from this is so much better than what I was going to offer a year ago. It's beautiful. So yeah, that was the biggest challenge in this business I've ever faced. And it was an emotional challenge, a trust in the Lord challenge. And it's hard. Let's face it, it's hard when you've got that date on the calendar and you're ready to go, and it goes to the extreme, like that. We're not talking, you broke your ankle and you have to move it off a week. We're talking it's out of the running for a while. So yeah, but hindsight, because it's so much easier, I can look back. But I did, as I started to make changes, I realized this was really what he wanted, and I would serve my clients better and in a multitude of different ways than I had planned. Mm-hmm. And he was saying not all he had anything to do with, my medical thing, but he took this opportunity to enhance it and make it better. I was not ready at that time to serve as he would have me serve. So,
and it was a refining that just made that word refining. That is beautiful. And you mentioned there you had this lead up to putting those dates on the calendar, this really like conversation with God where you felt like this is what he had for you and you were meant to do that, and then it didn't happen. That can be so discouraging and make I know as a business owner, I've had stuff like that, similar situations happen where, something comes up, the plans don't come to fruition. And it's like, well, is this really what you meant for me? Is this really, did I not hear you correctly? Did I make that up by myself? Like,
it was a test. It was a test. I think you could say too, the enemy too is testing me to some extent. And yet it was just so much. So I don't know if I'd have a podcast now. Let's put that out there, which is, a sweet, a sweet thing. So yeah.
Yes. And he took that moment of not knowing, is this going to happen the way I thought it was, and made it better than you could have imagined.
Ever imagined. Yep.
Well, and speaking as someone who has been very blessed by your podcast, and even just this week, like I was on my way to the gym one day and I was listening to your podcast. It was exactly what I needed to hear. And I was thinking, oh, this was put here on my list of things to listen to because it auto played. Like I didn't even see the new episode. I just went and listened to something, whatever was first on my list. And then it auto played to your podcast. And I was like, yes, this is perfect. But, there's so much more knowing that you had that podcast out of that experience, and you've reached so many people already with that and had the ripple effects of those people reaching more people and sharing your podcast.
It's humbling. That's what I can say. It's humbling. It's exciting. Yes.
It's wonderful. Well, tell us what the vision for your future of your business is. What are you kind of thinking on and dreaming on right now?
So I have a 6-month program, which is my main focus, where I've taken 3 of my masterminds and I've put them together. So I have the mastermind, which is really like the prayer powered mastermind about God being CEO, the focus on excellent stewardship, and the understanding and goodness of kingdom multiplication. So my dream, God-sized vision that he put on my heart is that program, right now I'm the only one teaching that program that I've put together. And my dream is that it reaches, obviously, helps women. That goes without saying. I said that in the beginning, but that I need to train others to run the program. That's what he's telling me is kingdom multiplication, because I'm only one person and I can only reach so many people. So my long-term vision is that some of the women that have gone through the program will be interested in then taking that themselves, and after some training from me, going out and teaching that themselves and using that as spreading his word and then a source of income for them. And that goes back to my program manager, training adjuncts, curriculum, all that. But and that's what I see and that would be awesome. that it would, because it could reach so many more people than I will reach. I can reach people in podcasts, YouTube, things like that. But this one-on-one, the heart of this brainstorming, this connection, bringing women together, we have to do it in a small group format for it to be meaningful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. That's my big dream.
How wonderful. Well, and like you said, that multiplication of giving other people the chance to kind of hone their teaching skills. Like that's so cool. And like you said, you've got the tools in your toolbox. It's just getting the chance to bring them back out again. How exciting. Well, we're excited to follow along on this journey and watch where you go with the prayer powered entrepreneur and your programs. So tell us where we can connect with you online and how we can follow along.
Okay, so I have a website. I have the website, and I'm saying, it's GayleChaky.com. There's a podcast tab, and I'm finding that's the easiest way for people, because if you click on the podcast tab, you can get into it, whether you're Spotify, Apple, or Google, wherever. So that's the first place. I am on YouTube. God is my CEO is, the title basically I use for both my YouTube and my podcast. YouTube is very short, little brief, under 10 minute, 6-minute things. Podcast runs about 20 minutes, 25. I also have master classes, free master classes that I offer. I also have something called the Esther Circle, very exciting. That's now available through a trade association, but all that's going to be on my website, all the events that I have. Gayle at GayleChaky.com. It's Gayle, Gayle. So yeah, I'm just out there. I have a Facebook group, Pray Work Repeat it's called. So a lot of different places.
Awesome. And we'll link all of this down in the description, show notes. That way you don't have to worry about memorizing that. We'll have it linked for you so you can go and catch up with Gayle. Gayle, I've enjoyed our chat so much today. Thank you for being here.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. And it's been so nice to chat.
Thank you.